Hi, friends. Welcome back. So, will Elon Musk, the Tesla CEO, buy MSNBC? That's the subject of today's video. And don't think it couldn't happen because you remember the Twitter deal started out as a joke and ended up becoming real. And Elon Musk seems to like jokes and keeps doing it nonstop. Here he is talking with Donald Trump Jr. Donald Trump Jr. says, "Hey, Elon Musk, I have the funniest idea ever," talking about whether or not to buy MSNBC. Elon Musk asks, how much does it cost? What's going on is Comcast is spinning off some of their channels, so MSNBC or CNBC could be on, the trading block, as you could say, or up for sale. And people are actually already taking bets on whether or not Elon Musk will buy MSNBC. 17% chance is what it is right now. I'll be curious what you guys think if he's actually serious about this. This is just a few hours ago. He keeps tweeting about it. And Elon Musk says, "And lead us not into temptation." There's Elon Musk. Elon Musk trying not to buy MSNBC. You can see there's like that temptation meme, or he has here. This is just a few hours ago. I do love this meme. He says, Elon Musk trying to sleep. This is the real Elon Musk here. So, or I mean, I'll just say this. This is a photo of Elon Musk because he is tweeting all the time. He's also the top Diablo 4 player in the world. I've seen that reported. I guess he's really good at this speedrun thing. There he is having, I guess this is probably brunch with Trump and other cabinet members coming in. And one of the things I noticed, and I'll just try to put this as nice as I can, I think Elon needs to hit the gym. He's a billionaire, so he could hire the best nutritionist, cook, trainer in the world. I mean, he's got plenty of money to do so. But he spends a lot of time just tweeting and sitting around playing video games. That's what the real Elon Musk looks like. I have to show this from time to time because sometimes people get in their head that this guy is like some sort of crazy, genius, that he is the smartest guy in the world, etc. But in my opinion, his mind is easily distracted, and we have to bring this stuff up because it does matter. It can affect elections. It can affect many countries in the world, not just the USA. Moreover, I want to also bring this up. He's hanging out with this dude, right, Mr. Donald Trump, who is now selling you guitars. Look at this. This is a real thing. Trump is now selling guitars. I guess they are like $11,000 each. According to Trump, it says here, introducing the limited edition American Eagle guitar series. And I know when you look at this, you're like, is this real? Yes, it is. You can find it as Trump guitars. The same way the guy sells Trump shoes, Trump MFTs, this kind of stuff. It's funny, and you can actually get the signature, and that's the most expensive one, the $11,000 one. But I'm saying it's funny because, like, this stuff should be an absolute joke, right? It should be, but it's not. This is real. We have a president who sells guitars, and we have a car company dude who jokes about buying media companies and may end up buying said company. Now, what's going on with MSNBC is that their ratings are going down. A couple of their main anchors, they said they're gonna, make buddies with MSNBC. MSNBC make buddies with Trump, and these two people here, I think it's Joe and Mika are their names. They I guess did an interview or whatever, Mars-Lago with Trump, and it kind of pissed off their fans, and so people are like, "What the heck?" The other thing too, I think is interesting is I think perhaps their fans are older. And as you guys know, younger fans tend to be more on social media, say like an X, or even more crazy, which would be like TikTok. If you guys don't know, I'm 49, so I don't really do X or TikTok. It's just I don't. I can concentrate for more than 30 seconds, but I completely understand young kids these days. If you grow up with an iPad and a phone in your hand, your concentration levels are really, really low, and also too, your language skills are down. It's just a reality. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to say it, people just don't want to concentrate anymore. This is a example of MSNBC's audience, and I think it's, like I said, it's not just NBC, it's cable as a whole is going down, and people are shifting over to other forms of media. You're watching my channel as an example. So I just want to read through this. I think it's kind of interesting. It talks about ratings. It says ratings continue to sunset at MSNBC. Morning Joe, again, that's one of their shows over at MSNBC. After host surprised audience earlier this week by announcing they had gone to visit Donald Trump at Mars-Lago following years of feuding with him. And I think they've said all sorts of mean things about it. I don't know. I don't watch it, but that's what I've heard. It says on Wednesday, MSNBC's morning mainstay lured an average of 647,000 viewers. Okay, so that's a decent following. And here's the key though, and just 51,000 viewers between 25 and 54. So this is why I think a lot of their viewers are older, because if you're saying, and this is sort of your key demo right here, is between 25 and 54, and you're pulling in 51,000 viewers, so that means because I don't think people younger than 25 are probably watching NBC. I highly doubt it. So that means most of your viewers then, in this number are going to be over 54. And it's interesting because I wanted to show you guys this, just to give you guys a comparison. This is my channel on YouTube. I show this every now and then, our demos, if you're curious. So my audience, or you could say us, if you watch this in your Hangout community, we tend to be older. So if, comparing to MSNBC here, so 25 to 54, you add these numbers up. My numbers are roughly 65-ish% of our audience is in that key demo. And then you have older than 54, so 55 plus, ends up being like, do the math quick here, 32%, something of that nature. And then young kids under 25, it's like 3% of the channel that watches. So very, very few kids watch my channel. One of the things that I think is key when you talk about something like this is understand, yes, that there is a shift from, to more traditional media to social media, stuff like that. But it doesn't necessarily mean that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's just a thing that is. Audiences want, different kind of stuff, and also reflects sort of the media environment that we are in. I also want to bring this stuff up, why this stuff matters, media, what we're thinking about, what we're talking about. Here's an example. So Elon Musk, when he first was tweeting out that he was going to buy, Twitter, in fact, he was buying Twitter secretly, okay? And back then, Twitter was publicly traded company. And essentially, once I think it's like a 10% threshold of ownership, you have to disclose that publicly, right? He disclosed it late that he was actually buying shares of Twitter, and that was actually breaking SEC, rules. Elon Musk is supposed to testify in front of the SEC, but keeps not showing up in court. I've mentioned this a few times on the channel, and I was kind of curious what happened with that. This is just the most recent report I have. I guess he's not coming. Basically, the last time he was supposed to show up in LA, his lawyers flew out there, and so evidently if his lawyers go there, maybe they thought Musk was going to show up. Elon Musk decided to skip that and just go to a rocket launch or whatever. And then Musk, I guess as a fine, just paid for the SEC, not the SEC lawyers, and I guess and his lawyers. He just paid for everyone's plane tickets and hotels or whatever. For me, this is like pretty awful, though, to be perfectly frank. If you are breaking the law, right, essentially, and you're called to testify, like, why don't you show up? But that's part of the world that we live in. I guess if you have enough money, you can just dodge whatever rules that you like. And also, too, you can set the agenda of what we're talking about. Meaning that the reason why, I'm bringing this up is right now we're all talking about whether or not he's going to buy MSNBC. We're not talking about why are you ducking SEC regulations, right? If I put that in a headline of a YouTube video, people don't know what I'm talking about because it's not being covered anywhere. It's like a very, very small story. Or another example, and this is sort of why the importance of, media and social media, etc. Everyone's talking about, who's Elon Musk going to cut at the federal government? What we really should be talking about is, why are we cutting so much taxes for wealthy people? Like, do we really need to cut their taxes even more? Because, it all sort of adds up when we talk about the budget. Yes, you can make budget cuts if you really want to, but why are we doing budget cuts and tax cuts when we could theoretically, just theoretically, cut budget and raise taxes to try to bring that budget in balance? But we're not talking about that, right? So media has a big dictation of sort of what you think about or talk about. But I got to bring this up. And I'm going to be a little bit mean here, guys, and sometimes a little bit mean, but I just have to say it because it's the truth. I did a review of Elon Musk's book, right? And if you guys want to watch my review, please do, and it might be interesting for you. I've actually watched Tesla stock promoters also review the book, right, when this came out. This is the Walter Isaacson book. And I'll just be very frank, a lot of the other channels are illiterate. I can tell because I read the book, and when they talk about it, you can tell they don't understand it. And it's sad. And like I said, I have to be a little bit mean, but you got to bring this stuff up. If you look up the average, I'll talk about actually reading level first. The average reading level of an American is a 7th or 8th grade level, okay? So that would, put you as at 13, 14, something like that. I think that's what you are when you're 7th or 8th grade. Or the average, math level of American is like, however, the one way to really measure it is how many 12th graders, so it'd be like, seniors in high school, what's their math proficiency? And it says here, only 26% of 12th grade students scored at or above proficient level of the math assessment, meaning that like roughly only 1 out of 4 students in high school can do basic math, like math that is considered high school math. So just think about that, how serious this problem is, be it math or reading. And this is why, and guys, I really know, I do social media stuff every day. We do YouTube every day. I know people don't understand my videos. I can tell from the comments. I know that if you're a regular, audience on my channel, I know you understand because I can tell from your comments. But people who come in who, are like, "Oh, Chris, you're just so dumb. Oh, Chris, you're just a hater." Like that's the extent of their language. That's the extent of their understanding of the world. Here's an example of a comment. This is coming in from Drew. Drew says, Elon and his companies are doing better than ever. This is not an opinion, but fact. Why does everyone commenting here not see or speak what is reality? Very confusing. This is your average viewer on YouTube. So this guy likes fishing, and I like fishing too, Drew. Fishing is fun. I'm not making fun of fishing. I think fishing is really cool, but I'm just saying this is an average viewer. And like this idea that Elon Musk's companies are doing better than ever is, his last, this is real. Elon's last, thing was like, hey guys, I'm going to have a bunch of robots and robo-taxis. And anyone with any intelligence whatsoever would know that the whole robot show was basically a false, fake, fraudulent thing. Like anyone watching it. But people actually fell for it. People actually thought the robots were talking to them. And I've showed you guys evidence of this stuff before. Drew may even believe that. He may even believe the robots can talk to you. That kind of stuff is so ludicrous, but you have to remember it goes back to Americans don't have the critical skills to figure this stuff out, let alone do math, let alone read. This matters because, like, guys, when I show you something like this, this is a simple metrics of how to evaluate Tesla stock, and we talk about PE ratios or PE. If only 1 out of 4 Americans can do basic high school math, that means like many of these people, like if we talk about percentages or ratios, it doesn't mean anything to them. And I laugh. I'm being mean. I'm being perfectly frank. I'm being mean, but like I throw this stuff up there, and honestly, I know it doesn't really matter for most people, so why even bother? I'm still gonna do it anyway, because I know there is an audience out there that is smart enough to understand the numbers, but it is what it is. So we'll stick to cartoons. It's easier for people to understand. And this is actually a real thing. This is a French graphic novelist. He actually recently did a book on Elon Musk, and it was pretty interesting. They wrote on the Instagram here, and I'll read it, and we'll go over sort of what it says here. Daryl Cunningham, he says, my book on Elon Musk came out earlier this year from Delcourt Editions in France, but its publication in other countries looks unlikely. I'm told that there was various interests from various international publishers at a recent Frankfurt book fair, but there was concern over possible legal consequences. So he's worried, essentially, I think Elon Musk is going to sue him or whatever if this book gets published in the UK or US. This shouldn't be a problem, as I was careful not to write anything that hadn't already been published elsewhere, and the court's lawyers examined every word and line for problems. Nevertheless, we live now in a climate of fear where the worst people have immense power, and because of this, there's going to be a tendency for individuals, institutions, and businesses and state to run for, and I don't know the rest of it, maybe the hills or something like that. But the basic gist of it is, and again, why are we talking about why this is important? If Elon Musk, buys MSNBC or maybe buys CNBC or whatever, you start to control what people talk about, think about, and you can, control the spread of ideas. And now Elon Musk talks about this all the time, like, oh, I'm all about free speech or whatever. But the guy tweets out literally fake stuff, right? That's why I showed you this kind of thing. And I mean, and kudos to Elon Musk and his platform. To be fair, at least they have a platform and a system to where people can mark it as being fake. Like on this particular one, it says here, this has been digitally altered. And while some people might know this, many people in comments don't. This is from 2018, nothing to do with Elon Musk. Showing this kind of thing here is like, and this actually happened in Korea recently. Last time, I think it was, I want to say 2018, something like that, something around there. But President Park was recently elected. That she's not in power now. She actually went to prison. It's for real. But when she came in, and if you guys don't know, I work in the entertainment industry, in film, actually, in TV. And a lot of my friends were talking about how certain movies could not get made because if they were anything critical of the administration or whatever, or her dad, because her dad was a dictator in Korea, they would just be shot down. It's the same kind of situation if you make any sort of stories about Elon Musk. And actually the stuff here is nothing, like he was saying, it's all public, right? It's not saying anything untrue. And basically he's just talking about, Elon Musk comes from South Africa, how did Elon Musk start his companies, these kind of things. And I'm just kind of showing you guys this guy's work. And if you don't know, South Africa was back then during apartheid. And this kind of stuff, this for freedom of expression. And again, we're not talking about, spreading a bunch of fake stuff, or like, for example, he talks about Musk's grandparents, etc. These are the kind of things that I think is important to the world, but many people actually will never hear of this book or see it, and it's all in French actually, because again, U.S. and U.K. publishers are worried about Elon Musk suing them, and Elon Musk likes to sue people, and he's got a lot of money, right? And if you guys know how the system works in USA, money counts for quite a lot. I want to give you another example of how money matters and something in the media. So here in Busan, right, we have different news than what you guys would get. This is covered in the New York Times, to be fair, but is not a big story in the USA because big money controls the media. So what's the headline here? Global attention centers on reducing plastic as fifth round of negotiations begin in Busan. So that's here. In my opinion, this is a major story. And I'll just leave this question to you. And I don't think these kind of things should be left or right. Issue. It should be an issue for all humans. If Elon Musk or just any person of power cared about the planet, cared about humans, you would care about recycling of plastic. Again, this should not be controversial by any stretch of the imagination. It's a reality. We all use plastic, right? I'll give you an example. So when I was a kid, styrofoam used to be a real thing at McDonald's. I mean, it was all over the place. And then, we realized, wow, it's can't use it anymore. It's just not sustainable. The same thing with plastic. Like, you just don't want to have plastic all over the place. And so there's talk about like, how can we make this better? My understanding of the plastic situation is, I think the world at the moment only recycles like 9% of plastic. It's actually really low. Here in Korea, we recycle higher than, say, the USA. I think the USA is like, I was looking at numbers here. There's different numbers you can look at with this kind of thing. And again, this would be a media issue of like, you need fact checking on this stuff. So Korea, the government here, they say we recycle 73%. Probably not that high. But compared to the USA at 5 to 6% of plastic, it's definitely a big difference. Now, that's what I said. You do want to check the numbers out here because it doesn't mean everything the government says is correct. According to Greenpeace, so they say, well, depends how you measure what a plastic is. It depends how you measure recycling is. Maybe it's only going to be 27% of recycling of plastic, whatever like that. But it's still much higher than the US, rate at like 5 to 6%. Why isn't this thing an issue? Well, turns out, right, people make money from this stuff. I'll read a little bit of this from the New York Times. It says, talking about plastic recycling here. That notion had gained traction leading up to the final round of talks in Busan. Again, that's here in Korea, and this is where I live. With even the United States, a major plastic producer, tentatively backing the United Nations-led effort. Then came the election of Donald J. Trump. Now, few expect the United States to sign on to an eventual treaty at all. And with deep-seated opposition from oil and gas nations like Saudi Arabia and Russia, which, like the United States, produce the fossil fuels used to make plastic, some delegates are wondering whether any agreement is possible by the scheduled end of talks on Sunday. So, this is a really good example of when you control the media, you control what people are talking about. People are not talking about ending, plastic or trying to recycle it better, right? People aren't talking about that at all. We're talking about whether or not, Elon Musk should buy MSNBC, which is whether or not Elon Musk will control all the messaging. And Elon Musk, who's supposed to be, clean energy, electric car kind of vehicle, I would think plastic recycling would be a real thing if you can care about the planet. Again, in my opinion, I don't think that's a left-right issue, but to some people it is, right? I think that, honestly, I think it's a human issue. It's the same way, for example, do you like clean air and clean water? Is that an issue that like we would argue about as human beings? Like, I don't think so. I think humans need clean air and clean water, but call me crazy. Maybe some humans don't. So for making those like crazy statements about wanting clean air and clean water, to some people that's political. But I'll just state this, guys, when money is on the line, there's some people out there who don't, care about said things. And if you're curious, this is an interesting chart here. U.S. plastic, where are your bottle, wrap, and jug from? A lot of stuff comes from Texas and Louisiana. You guys can see it down there. And then I guess this state over here, South Carolina, has a bit of this kind of stuff, and then Illinois, Indiana. But it only comes from, certain, it's not everywhere in the country. And this is a sad thing. I used to live in Vietnam. And I actually talked about this quite a bit when I first came back. They don't have a recycling system in place. It's a developing country, right? So they don't have that kind of system at all. And people, they're not educated, perfectly frank. And so people just drink their, plastic things and just throw it in the water. And this is something it's not just Vietnam, it's many countries out there in the world because, you don't teach kids from a young age, hey, you should recycle. Simple example, it's very, very different here in Korea, and I think Japan is a similar. I don't know how many countries in Europe do this kind of thing, but basically when we go to McDonald's, we recycle everything. We have like different spots for our garbage, as like food, liquid, plastic, etc. In USA, you just throw everything in the garbage. Now, I don't know if that's changed recently at, say, McDonald's in USA, and you guys let me know if it has. But these are just some basic things. I'll give you another basic thing. In USA, I remember when I was a kid, everything used to just go in the garbage. And then I don't remember what year exactly, but there was a particular year in offices started using recycling bin. Like that was like a really, shocking thing. And you had to like teach all these people to like, take your copies and then throw them in the recycling bin. It was like a weird idea because before, like, what do you mean? We just throw everything in the garbage. Isn't that what we're supposed to do? But, I'm going on a bit on a recycling sort of rant, but I think it's important stuff to care about the planet. And, this is sort of why I like to call this kind of stuff out, because I think personally this whole Elon Musk stuff is a big sham. And a lot of people fall for it. But to be really frank, you can get really, really rich by telling people lies. So that's what's on my mind today. I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts, and I'll catch you on the next video.